Podcast with your co-host Nico Pengin of Pen for Hire NYC. Today we are joined by Anne Charles. Anne, thank you so much for being here today with us.
Thank you for having me on this evening. I guess it is here. I'm not sure. It's pretty late back where you're at, isn't it?
Yeah, so I'm in Eastern Time. Where are you calling from?
We're Arizona, so we don't change time. So right now we're on Pacific time.
Oh, okay, yeah. So you still have a little bit of sunlight, right?
Right.
Oh, lucky you over here. Sun has already set. It's time for nighttime. But anyways, I was looking at your website and I see so much color. There's so much engagement with your website. I wanted to know what got you into creating books, becoming a master of words. What essentially was your inspiration for writing?
Wow. I'm not one of those people that wanted to write since I was a kid.
Oh
I loved
wow.
I loved reading. I always did, and um, it just as I kept reading, and I would read horror and I would read romance, westerns, science fiction, all kinds of stuff. I was all over the place. So I like different genres, especially if
Hmm.
they mixed them up. So it was in my 20s when I had finished a book, and it was an okay book. I don't remember
Hmm.
which one it was. It wasn't that it was something I threw against the wall because I hated
Right.
it, but I didn't like the ending. I wanted different and something different for the ending. And I thought, well, why don't you just write a book that you like and write the ending you want? And then you'll be happy. And so it started, and like I said, that was my mid-20s, and I
Wait,
just
who gave you that idea?
me.
Oh, you gave yourself that idea.
Yeah, it was
Wow.
like stop complaining about this, these endings, and write what you
Hmm.
want and make yourself happy and give it a try. I don't know why I even thought I could do that, but I did. So I wrote a book and it was horrible. But I finished it. I wrote it all by hand and I finished it and I spruced it up, typed up the first few chapters, sent it in to a
Hmm.
publisher, and they said, no, thank you.
Oh
But hey,
Lord.
we think you have potential. Don't give up. So I believed them and I kept going. And that's kind of how it all got rolling.
So that same publisher that gave you that original idea about you have potential, did they ever work with you or they just gave you like, hey, listen, this is not something that we're ever gonna do, but somebody out there at some point will like what you're doing?
Well, it was a romance publisher, and I was trying to write romance at that
Hmm.
time, and
Hmm.
and it's just I do like to have romantic subplots, but just writing a straight romance is not something that I'm really good at. I like to have
Mm.
more suspense and mystery and other elements mixed in. So I didn't ever submit anything else to them because I moved on in style. I kept trying to learn what I liked. And I did submit other books that had romance in them, but they were always mixed genre. And back in the early 2000s when I was doing this with an agent, we would
Hmm.
get time and again where they'd say, hey, could you pick either mystery or romance or suspense? Quit doing 50-50, or even Steven stuff here. We want you to
Right,
pick a
right.
team and stay with it. And I couldn't. I just didn't have that storytelling voice in my head. It wanted to mix everything up together.
I mean, and look at what ended up happening. You were able to publish so many fiction books and you were able to create so many series from the ongoing multi award winning Deadwood Mystery Series,
Hmm.
which has the 13th book coming out in 2023, the Jackrabbit Junction Mystery Series, the six books Twisty Tortoise Tussles is your latest one that you actually came here to talk about, but
Right.
as well as the Dig Site Mystery Archaeology series, and then the Deadwood Undertaker series that you co-wrote with Sam Lucky. So you've done so much despite what initial setbacks were said to you, and you were able to translate all that energy, all that experience to be a USA Today best-selling author who writes award-winning books. Like,
It's been a crazy ride. It's been a lot of fun, and there's so much more to come. But I just try to take month by month, year by year, keep putting out the stories and just keep trying different things. I really have spent a lot of time learning about marketing because I realized early on that to be
Hmm.
successful, especially if I was going to be a small press or an independent author, I was going to
Hmm.
have to know how to market and be on social media and use, ads, use all kinds of stuff. So I spent a lot of time studying up on marketing, in addition to practicing and getting better with the craft of writing. So it's taken a lot of time and energy, but it turned out to be something I love to do, and so I have a lot of passion to keep going forth and trying things. Doesn't mean I don't get tired. I do. I need breaks now and then.
I mean, it sounds like from going the different genres that you encompass in your writing, as well as the different roles that it sounds like you partake in your brand, that you do have a lot of things to do. And it really sounds like you mentioned earlier that you just can't settle down on one specific task since everything is calling out to you. And I completely understand that. And I wanted to learn, how do you manage that? Because you might not have all the energy or time. So how do you manage what time and energy you do have access to in order to create all these different things?
Oh, I'm not, I'd like to tell you I have a calendar and, this whole list and I followed it to a T. I wish. I have 2 kids, I'm married, 4 cats. Life happens constantly. I just, you know, there's a lot of nights that I'm up working until 11 or midnight. And then I get up in the morning and we get the kids off to school and start in again. But then throughout the day, I stop and I have to exercise because when you sit at a computer all day long, you got to do something to keep your
Right.
body moving. And I fit in marketing. Some days I'm really strong in the morning with writing, so I try to not deal with any marketing early and just focus on writing. Other days I'm better at night when it's quiet and everybody's in bed. So I don't have set times, but I do work 7 days a week. My husband does
Mm.
too. I mean, we're really in this together. He's Sam Lucky, who I co-write the Deadwood Undertaker series with, and we often joke a line. I think it was from Downton Abbey, where one of the older, richer ladies said, "What is a weekend?" We always joke about what is a weekend. We just keep going no matter what day of the week. And in the summer, it gets really crazy because the kids are home, and
Mm.
I'll wake up and I'll sit there for 10 seconds and try to figure out what day is this, because I'm just every day is the same. You're
Right,
working, you're
right,
working. So I have to. We've talked about getting something where it puts it on the wall. So first thing when
right.
I sit up, it tells us what day it is because it's a lot of work. Um, the time, if there ever was a get rich quick in independent publishing, it's not really here unless you win the lotto, basically, of publishing, right? It just takes a lot of work and time and perseverance. But if it's what you enjoy, it's what you do, and you just keep going forth, and no matter what time of the day.
Wow, that's actually pretty impressive that you're able to be consistent despite not having a set schedule. I think that's more impressive than anything, because a lot of people that are procrastinators, they'll lie to themselves and they'll say, "Yeah, you're gonna do it at night. You don't
And then
have
you
you don't
don't, right?
yeah, you don't have time in the morning. Hey, do this writing thing in the morning, and then you can do that marketing thing later on at 10, 11. And 10, 11, it's like, you could do a little bit more writing. You could do that marketing thing tomorrow morning." And then, because I've done it before where I've been like, man, wait till Tuesday, wait till next week, wait till in
Mhm.
2 weeks, or wait until inspiration hits you. But it sounds like you're making that on a constant basis, whether you're doing one thing or the other, always constantly working and trying to figure out either what your mind or what your body is gonna be focused on and tackling and getting that done.
Oh yeah, and when I'm in the thick of writing a book, actively writing, I have a goal of 2,000 words a day. Sometimes
Mm.
I'm, just scraping, get really close to it, and maybe the last 10 words are you need to write more than the 2,000 words tomorrow, just to hit that 2,000 mark. And other times it's 3 or 4,000, that I do in a day because it's really flowing. And that includes incorporating editing because the way I write is I'll write chapter, and then I'll go back and start editing it, and I'll edit and edit, and then
In
I'll
that same day?
Sometimes it's the next day I edit, but I'll finish the chapter anywhere between 3,000 to 4,000 to 5,000 words, and then I ship it off to my first draft crew, just that chapter, and then I go to the next. And I find that having them on the line really motivates me because I can't, it's no longer just me sitting there going, oh, I'll do this another time. They'll start emailing me and
Mm,
contacting me and go, I saw you on Facebook. What are you doing? Get back to work. We're waiting on the next chapter. So it helps me keep going to have, to do it that way instead of just, I'm going to spend months writing a book and then I'll start sharing it. Just a writing style that I've learned, so I don't procrastinate too much because
mm,
I will, given the opportunity. But um, most of the time, I can get once I get in the routine, I can be pretty strong with getting those at least 2,000 a day. I wish I was as fast as some of these writers I know and I've heard about that just throw out 5 or 6,000 words a day, and it's good. They don't have to do a lot of editing, but that's just not my style.
no, it sounds like your slow and steady beats the race is gonna eventually outpace those. So, for example, for somebody that waits every 2, 3, 4, 5 days to write just a measly 500 words, your 2,000 a day and editing, and they might wait until they have a complete first draft from beginning to end in order to even start thinking about either proofreaders or to think about sending it to their editor. Whereas it sounds like every chapter or so, every certain word count amount, you're revising it, making sure that it's cleaned up and then ready for somebody else to do that. And that same group of people are going to keep you accountable throughout the entire process,
Right.
is what it sounds like.
Exactly. And, I'll pick a date. I'll say, okay, I'm going to release this. I'm aiming for, September 30th to have this book finished into the editor because my editor always likes to know ahead of time, when
Right,
am I
right,
getting that next book? And so I'll put dates out there. And I mean, that's the where I'm really trying to hit, and make those deadlines because I know she's got a schedule. And
right,
sometimes I make it, and other times I don't. And I have to write her and say, life happened. I'm going to run 2 weeks late, but I'm still pushing. And having her there also really pushes me too, because I don't want to lose my spot. She's
right,
holding a spot in her schedule for me, and you lose that, you could get kicked back a ways, and then it'll mess up all, what I have planned. So there's ways to keep myself held accountable, I guess,
hmm,
to certain times and stuff. And I do try to do that. And also, when I'm working in marketing, let's say, and I tell somebody, yes, I'll do this,
right,
I really strive to make it happen when I said it, or whatever, because
hmm,
I think it's a professional thing, and I don't want them to start thinking, well, she might not, she might show up, she might not be here for what we need her. So
hmm,
I do try to keep on top of that as well. But I'm very careful. I won't say, oh yeah, I'll do that for you tomorrow.
right,
I'll
right, right.
go, let me think about when I can get that done, and then I'll get back with you.
Hmm. Well, that's an amazing way that you can tackle meeting your goals and your missions. What I was curious to know is how did you build that initial momentum? Was it a specific system in place, or was it something else that allowed you to just be so consistent that now you're like a locomotive? I don't think anything is going to derail you, but how did you start that initial momentum?
Well, okay. So when I started way back when, I was working a day job. There were parts early on when I was still in college finishing my degree. I was one of those 10-year college degrees, you get it at 29 instead of,
Hmm.
but, and I had been married before and then divorced. And through it all, I kept doing things and writing and pushing myself. And then in the early 2000s, I was married for the second time. And we had our first child in 2005 and the second in 2007. I had a full-time day job. It's not, it's not cheap, of course, to do. And when you're starting, you almost have to have some other income coming in to support you.
Right.
So during those times when I was younger, I was able to work really long days, both at work and then come home and be with my family, help with the kids. And then when they would go to bed at 9, 10 o'clock, I would hit the keyboard until about 1 or 2. and then go to sleep for about 5 hours and get up and do it all again, go back to work and get started. And it, I wasn't alone. My husband was there too. We were raising them together, our kids together, and just juggling everything. But
Mhm.
because I had that day job and it was a full-time day job, I had to really make every, hour count in the day. And I kind of got into that routine of, okay, now I have to do this. And this is the only way I'm going to make this so that I can someday leave this job and go to writing as a career. And it took a while. It wasn't until 2013 that I was finally able to quit my job. I started first writing in 1996, 97, when I first sent out. So, and there was a lot of life lived in between there. But from about 2007 on, I was really trying hard. And I couldn't quit the day job until, like I said, 2013. And that was a whole, it was great. I was excited. I was writing
Right,
finally.
right.
It was supporting we were supporting our family with this. This is what we
Mhm.
do. And then I had this realization of, oh, now writing a book is no longer just fun thing I do on the side and I'm trying to have this whole thing. Now this is it. This is what I have to do. I have to tell stories every day, work
Right.
at this every day. And that was a bit of a eye opener. Healthcare, you got to consider paying that and all that. So you have to
Mhm,
think
mhm.
about, can we do this? Can we sustain, just off the writing? But there was no looking back. We just pushed forward and said, let's do this. Let's make it happen. And we have. So it's been really a lot of fun and a lot of work, but worth it overall.
Now, how do you actually come up with the consistency to create 2,000 words? Because a lot of people have difficulty trying to put together 100 words together on a simple story, and you're just killing it 7 days a week. That's like 14,000 words in 1 week. Boom. And you keep doing it and keep doing it and you keep doing it. How is your brain such an infinite vortex of ideas that you're able to just churn it out on command?
I I don't know. I don't really know. I just know that once I'm in the story, it goes slower initially. The first 3 to 5 chapters of my
Mhm.
novels run usually about 125,000. So the first probably 15,000 words to 20,000 words take me longer because I'm building and I have to, if it was a brand new series, I have to build the world. If it's, book 13, like I'll be writing this fall in the Deadwood series, I have to reintroduce situations, plot lines that I'm pulling through, characters. I have to reintroduce, but in a way that doesn't bore you, but in a way that if you haven't picked up the series in a year or two, and you want to just read this one, you can jump back in without going, oh, I'm going to have to reread them all.
Right.
So, I mean, really, all my series, you really should, if you really want to have the best experience, start at one and go through it. But I do try to make it so if you come in midway through, you're not lost. You still can follow the plot for that book. Um, so I do have extensive note taking. There's a fan, a wonderful woman, and she has a business now called Your World Keeper. She came to me at a book signing way back when it was just the third Deadwood book had come out. She was
Mhm.
actually there for somebody else, and she came over. She said, "Oh, I've read your books. I saw that. I found them and I've read them." And I said, "Oh, cool." And she said, "Yeah, I love them. Do you know that you changed the color of so and so's eye? One of the characters' eyes between book 2 and 3?" And I was like, oh, it's so hard to keep track of all these little details. And she said, I could do that for you if you're interested. I could be the one that keeps track of all your characters and their, all the different parts and pieces and plots and stuff like that if you're interested. And I was like, oh my gosh, I have been, just sacrificing chickens and goats and anything I could find to find you, waiting for the writing gods to go, here you go. So
Wow.
she was, yeah, and she's been doing it ever since with me. She actually has, like I said, it's a business now for her. But when we started, it was just, yeah, let's do this. And she's amazing. So through all those records, I go back through them every time I start a new book in the series. I go back through all that stuff. I reread at least, in the Deadwood series, I'll start with book 2 or 3 I'm not reading one anymore. I just read the synopsis because I've read that book so many
Right,
times.
right.
But I'll read through the whole series again just to get it all back because I really want to be fully in that world and not forget something, a plot thread that I had way back when that I plan to use again. So it takes time. I'm not, like I said, I'm not super fast. One of my books will take 4 to 6 months to write it, go through editing, and release it. It's just, that's how much time I take. And I wish I was faster, but I can only do what I could do, and I've learned to accept that. This is what I can do.
I mean, it sounds like you're doing a consistent and a great job at it, even though you're having you're looking at individuals who are at a higher volume, and you might not recognize that you're doing such a well job. Like I said, back to the locomotive, because you already have the writing on the consistency, but also you have the editing on the consistency. And it also sounds like you have somebody that can correct you if you misalign a character, whether it's the way they speak something, the way they're looking, the way they're dressing, the way they might even be sounding. So you have everything at your disposal to continue to create that content that all your fans so desperately love. My thing is, how can you do it so well after so many years? Because you said 1996 you started doing this,
Yeah, I was young then. I was
and you're
trying.
not running out of ideas?
No, I
Wow.
switch up. So I have these 5 different ongoing series. And part of the reason I do have so many and then I switch around is so I don't get bored. Because
Oh.
it keeps me it allows me to go, okay, we had a great time on the page, everybody. Go back in the green room and wait, and I'm going to go over here and we're going to now write this story, go back to these guys over here, catch up with what's going on, write, create a whole new story. And I, in each book I'll put several threads that it's like, we're going to pick that up later. We're
Mhm.
just putting it in to get this started here. And my readers, they're so smart. They know, hey, you mentioned this particular thing, so this is
Right.
going to come back, and I'm waiting for that to come back. So, and that's why I said I have to go back and reread a lot of times to make sure I found all those little clues I left behind. Because, like I said, the readers are really smart, and they'll read it all and they'll go, "You've forgotten this." Or
Mm.
have you? And so I have to stay on top of that. And that just takes a lot of focus and a lot of note taking and work. But I think there's a lot of value in it, because the last thing I want is a reader to go from like book 7 to 8 and go, hey, wait a second, all these things have changed. What happened? Because it's not been months. In the Deadwood series, we started back in, I think it was late July in
Mhm.
the story world, and now in book 13, we're only in the next January, I think, mid to late January.
Mhm.
So they just keep boom, 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 happening. If you're taking years along with me to read them, you're like, wow, it's been a long 6 months. But if you're binging them, it really goes, you're right in
Right,
there.
right.
And that's kind of the goal, is to make
Wow.
it binge worthy.
Wow, that's actually such a multi-layered That's such a multi-layered Rubik's kind of way of book planning, because you have one book series here who's on book X, and then another one here, and then another one here, and then another one here. And then whenever you want, you go, you know what? Today I'm going to decide to focus on humor. Today I'm going to do mystery, suspense, romance, supernatural elements, or whatever else sounds fun as it shows in your bio, and you
Yeah.
truly encompass that with all the different genres of books that you do. And it's literally what you said earlier, that the book publishers, they couldn't contain you and, hey, only do romance, that's the only one that you're good at, that's the only one that you should be doing, that's the only one with the money. And you ran with your idea, your way of working, and it's been working amazingly for you.
It really has. It's some people would probably say it's crazy, doing all this. And oh,
Sounds so fun too.
and each series is all part of the Anne Charles world, or whatever you want to call it, universe. So,
Mhm.
I have the Deadwood mystery series, and then the one that my husband and I write, the Deadwood Undertaker series, is the same Deadwood town, only back in the 1870s during the gold rush. And so we mix Western with humor and supernatural. And so it's the same supernatural world that ties in. But then there's Jackrabbit Junction series, who stars the neighbors of the heroine in the Deadwood series. They grew up together, but now they're down in Arizona solving mysteries, and it's treasure hunting and suspense and a lot of humor down there. But there are characters that'll go back and forth between
Right, right.
different, because they know, like, the heroine's best friend in the Deadwood series is the cousins of the girls, the characters in the Jackrabbit. So she goes
Yeah,
back
yeah.
and forth. So yeah, I have to line the dates up to make sure, because and some readers, we've done it on my website, where not only can you read the book series in order, but
Mhm.
now we've stacked them in where all the different books from the different series fall in the timeline. So you
Oh,
can go from
interesting.
book to book to book in the different series too. So that it takes some. You can't just throw something out willy-nilly. You got to be ready for, hey, have we checked this? Have we made sure it fits here? Does it fit? Have we thought about this? And that's all part of the planning for them.
Now, how did you have the patience in doing all of this? Because when you decide to work in multiple areas, a lot of people would say that this is not going to enable you to be proficient in the specific one, that if you just generated all the hours, all the energy, you'd be amazing at this one. So how were you capable of being so patient that you were able to develop your writing as well as your marketing for each specific genre?
Well, like I said, I started this way back in the 1990s.
Hmm.
And I'll be honest, I'm now 50. So this really got going when I was about 35. I was really starting to take off with all these things. That's when my kids were babies, but it was really let's get this going. And I kind of knew, I'd been to a lot of writing conferences, and a lot of, I'd talked to a lot of authors, older, younger, and I just kind of knew, okay, you know, God willing, I don't get hit by a bus. I've got some time here,
Right.
and I have the time to build, this universe that could be really fun if I can just keep building one temple, or one, building,
Ooh.
whatever you want to call it, at a time, and focus on building that. And now let's go build this part and go build that. So I thought of it as, well, I was, into archaeology. So I really thought of it as like a big,
Oh my gosh, that makes so
archaeology,
much sense.
and each temple, and here's the temple of this, and the temple of Deadwood, and we're
Oh
just
my
going to keep
lord, that's
working
so
on
smart.
building these pyramids or whatever, these complexes. And so I just kept working at it here and there, and I don't know, it at the time it seemed like, yeah, we've got time to do this, it's no big deal. And honestly, now it doesn't seem, it's more just juggling what's already up there. I don't, adding little stuff here and there. But there are things that come through, like marketing and new things that you have to do for marketing. And I just think, oh, maybe if I wait 6 months, this will pass and I can
Right,
catch
right.
the next thing, the big thing. But I do have a lot of help. I mean, of course, this isn't on my own. Like I said, my husband has been part of this pretty much from the beginning. There's a lot of back end stuff. If you're an author or an indie author, there's a lot of back end things you have to do.
Right.
Um, my sister-in-law is, my right hand assistant. She does so many things too. She's part of the whole machine. um, my sister, my oldest sister, also sells books and is my bookkeeper. My mom has been, she sold for, helped build on the ground sales in
Right.
Deadwood. So yeah, the family, my brother is my illustrator and cover artist.
Yeah, I
So
wanted to ask you about that because the latest cover, amazingly well done. I love the skull.
yeah,
I
twisty
think you have the
twists.
I think you have the book there. Oh my goodness, amazing cover.
Yeah,
Like,
it's
how did you come up with that eye-catching cover? Was it you just
so
gave them an idea, or they just read your material and ran with it?
so my husband is also a graphic artist. So let me add that in. It's one of his skills, many skills. And so he and my brother and I will start talking about a cover. And this is what, we're looking for. And as the years have gone on, I really we give my brother less and less. We just kind of talk to him in general about what we're thinking. And he kind of will run with it then, and let him do his artist thing and come up with ideas. So he comes up with he'll draw it. colored pencil on paper a lot of times. I think he might have done watercolor. No, not watercolor. But anyway, he does old
Hmm.
school. He's old school. So then he gives us the actual printed drawings and illustrations. I mean, all the books have illustrations inside as well that he's done.
Right, right.
So he'll give us those, the covers. Sometimes there's pieces. Sometimes it's one whole drawing altogether. This was a whole drawing that he gave me. So then we scan it in, and then
Hmm.
my husband gets to work as the graphic artist, and we'll bring, we'll make the skull bigger, we've got to add the fonts and all this stuff, and to
Right,
make it
right.
pop. So yeah, that's where the graphic artist comes in to do his work on it as well. And just coming up with fun stuff to make, it an eye-catching cover, and try to tell the story a little bit with the cover.
Oh, so it's a total team effort.
Yeah, very much. It's everybody works to their strengths and goes forth.
Yeah, that's exactly how you described your whole essential machine to this world that you've been building for so many years that you weren't capable of doing by yourself. And if you just focus on the things that you're really good at, as well as the things that you're capable of getting good at, because I absolutely love how you mentioned that the publishers, it told you no, but if you continue, you'll be great. And you were like, say less. I have enough time to build Rome because it wasn't built in a day. It
That's
was
right.
one person building one stone at a time, and you've been doing it for so many years. It almost seems like you said around 10 to 13 years, but had your break from being able to do it completely 100% full time. And so that just speaks volumes on your patience as well as your ability to be consistent. Because as I mentioned earlier, you have to have some sort of a momentum to be able to work 7 days a week without rest. You don't even know what a weekend is. You don't even know what days of the week are. When somebody
I
says,
know.
"Hey, what are you doing this Sunday?" You're like, "Sunday? I don't even what is today?" Like, I'm just doing 2,000 words. I'm either doing the marketing in the morning, I got kids in the afternoon, and then I got to write at night, and then I got this, I got that, I got so many things. And you are capable of being patient, and I applaud you for that because that takes so much effort. Like, a lot of people, even if they knew what the payouts were in regards to the success, how you feel and satisfaction, they might say, I'm not capable of doing all that work, or I need that instant gratification. I want
Yeah.
immediately to have thousands of 5-star reviews, which you have on Amazon. And all these accolades, all these awards, somebody would want to know, how do you do that instantly? And after hearing this, they're going to say, wow, that's a lot of work. Not only did it take a lot of work, it took a lot of, being at the right place at the right time, doing exactly what you needed to be doing. Like, you
Right.
couldn't have asked to be at a better place at a better time, knowing exactly what you needed to do and say in order to get somebody to be able to build a database for your world or build
I know that was fortuitous. I like to think of it as you keep irons in the fire, a lot
what
of
is it? What
irons
is
in the
it?
fire, and
Keep it
that
what?
way, irons in the fire. It means like branding or whatever, something in the fire. I guess
Mm-hmm.
it's a saying that means you keep a lot of things going at once and ready. Um,
Oh, that's
so you're
good.
ready to just we're gonna pull this one out and do or you can look at it as always being open to opportunity and being ready,
Oh,
so that when opportunity comes along, you've already built something that's there just in case. For example, audiobooks. I
mhm.
All the books I have are available in audiobooks now. I have, I think we're getting ready to publish 34 books or 35. So that's anyone who's dabbled in, looked into audio, knows it's not cheap. It
Right.
takes a lot of time, finding good narrators, building that whole catalog of audiobooks is not a quick, easy, inexpensive task. But from the beginning, I just knew, my husband and I talked about it. It was like, I think we need to invest in this. It's not big yet, but I just, feel like it. And he agreed. And so we started investing in the audiobooks, putting money in to get them well done, with very talented voices, and have them ready to go. And for years, and it cost us some money up front to
Right,
do that.
right.
And for years, we weren't making the money back, and we kept building it and building it. But finally, audiobooks are now really starting to do wonderful. I often make as much off audiobooks as I do off ebooks, because audiobooks are just growing in leaps and bounds, the sales, which is so wonderful. I love them too. So had we not thought, this through way ahead of time and been just ready in case, it was a risk financially, but we were ready in case it did take off. We'd be trying to catch up, trying to, get all these books up and going in audio, and you might miss the bus or the wave or whatever you want to call it. So being ready for what might come your way is really important. And that's not always easy to see, but just, I don't know, there's all kinds of sayings I could say, like hedge your bets and all that kind of stuff. But just try to think ahead of what might come and have something ready to go, so that when the opportunity comes, boom, I've got this for you. Here you go.
Now, not only were you ready for those opportunities, you also weren't scared to use the fire or pull the trigger, because a lot of people might just let those opportunities go. Like, yeah, I'm ready. I have that elevator pitch on deck. I have my stories memorized. I have everything all outlined, and the opportunity is right there. And it's just, that is a wasted opportunity. Because just as easy as you met her, you could have just been like, oh, thank you so much for pointing that out. Have a great day.
Right,
And
right.
boom, right there. Your whole database and all that information just gone right there because you weren't ready to fire. So that's actually so important, not only to be patient enough to continue doing that, as well as betting on yourself and continue betting on yourself. Because it does. I haven't heard yet that you said I betted against me. You just like, I bet on me. The publishers told me no. I said I'm betting on me. When they said this might not work for you, the audiobooks are too expensive, you're not going to make your money back right away, that instant gratification, it's like, you know what, I'm not worried about right now. I'm worrying long term. I have enough time to be able to develop this into something that I want and enjoy, and I can pass it on to my fans that are also going to love and enjoy, because you were meticulous with the process. You made sure to make it something that they were enjoy. And I think that says so much about how your quality of your books, your ebooks, your audiobooks, and the brand all aligns together, is the fact that you want to continue giving them so much value and building this world for them, and they get to appreciate it. Because like I said, I haven't seen so many 5-star reviews on an author in a while. So commendable on getting that done. And that just says a lot about your work ethic, a lot about your team and everything that you're doing.
Thank you. I mean, it's, that's the readers. That's all these amazing people that come in and support me and help us with, giving reviews and doing all kinds of things. Every time we release a book, so, and I'll be really quick. So I have the first draft team I told you about.
Yes.
Then, and there's a professional editor that comes in the mix too. But we also have a beta team that goes through, and it's anywhere between 20 to 45 people that over the years we've really trimmed to this crew, because each brings different things to the table. And I kind of know them. I've worked with them a while. So here comes these beta readers, and they get feedback to me. We publish the book, and then we pull in and we do calls for the promo team. And it's really fun. Like for the Deadwood Undertaker series, we have the Deadwood Prospectors. That's the promo team name. For the Jackrabbit books, we call them the Prickly Pear Posse. So they're going to go out and we're going to sell. And we provide images, all kinds of quotes and help. And then also, because I learned early on the whole what's in it for me mindset when it comes to marketing. A lot of times if you offer something to someone in exchange for their help, and I'm not saying you're bribing, it's just saying, hey, we're going to have so we'll have anywhere like around 150 people on the promo team, and I'll go out and find 100 plus different prizes that we're going to give away. I don't do 3 for 100 plus people. I do a lot. So your chances of winning something every run are really high. And if you don't win it for this book, the next book's coming. And I've got a bunch more things I've bought. And it's really fun because I get theme kind of gifts that go with the stories. So it's a lot of fun for me to go find all these promo prizes. And then we draw names and we mail those out. And then it's time for the next book. Here we go again. So we have all these processes in place that help make this happen. And like I said, I'm not doing this alone. This is a lot of people helping. I'm just there a lot of times helping steer the ship, helping look to the future, what's coming, putting myself out there, ideas, finding income streams along with, hey, that's a potential income stream. Let's line ourselves up and get on board and get all ready for that. And if it doesn't pay out, we've had that happen where it's like, oh, that was a waste of time. Oh, well. But other times, hey, that paid out well. So I try to look at everything as an experiment.
Right.
And so if it fails, it wasn't like I failed. That didn't work. Let's try something else. Some things go boom in a good way. But just keeping my mind open to that kind of a thing.
Man, that's actually so cool the way that you can break it down. I think that speaks volumes on your archaeology studies because you're just so capable of explaining it so thoroughly. Like, wow, the amazing ability to get all these people to share a common goal, whether you're giving them the opportunity to win a giveaway or just participate in a grandiose mission as a whole, and giving them the opportunity, because some people, they just want to help just because, and other people,
Right.
I understand you got to give them what they want or what they'll need in order to at least stay there for the long time, because as
Right.
long as there's a possibility of them winning and they actually win something, then they're going to give you that unbiased feedback, as
Right.
cruel as can be, because I know
Right.
sometimes that beta reader report be hurting, man. It just, oh, my heart and soul sometimes.
I
how
know.
how do you deal with that, by the way? Because with the
Ah,
20 to 40 people, there's got to be somebody that just doesn't pull punches and just goes straight for the heart.
yes, they're wonderful. They don't hold back. They tell me, and I actually fear it's more scary to give the book to the beta readers now than it is to
Mm,
put it live, because by the time it's going live to the public, it's been through 50, 60 set of eyes, and I've heard everything, and I found anywhere where somebody had a problem with something, I've heard about it. um, so when I hand it off to the beta crew, now granted, it's already been through first draft team, and that helps me have the confidence to give it to betas and everybody,
ah,
because first draft will call me out on things and go, what is this? This makes no sense. So they help me clean up, and they're gentle. They're thorough but gentle, knowing this is a first draft, so it's moldable. By the time we're to the betas, these guys, they're helping me make sure this thing's polished and there's no more errors. We're at the very end. They know how important it is to nitpick, and
mm,
um, they will. And sometimes I'm just like, oh, come on. And other
right, right.
times I'm like, oh, that was a good catch. That would have gotten through had you not found, and some people will come and say, you probably had everybody else find this. And so many times, an easy little spelling error. No, nobody else caught that. So everybody's important, everyone's feedback. And I try to keep that in mind. It hurts sometimes. It's scary.
Mhm.
It's you're putting yourself out there, but I've been putting myself out there to the general public so long, and I know there's going to be bad reviews coming in. And if it's a bad review saying, hey, I didn't like this, I didn't like the characters, blah, blah, I didn't like the plot, that's fine. But if it's, there were all these errors in the book, that's a problem. That's something I can fix before it goes out. And so it's my job to do my best to make it as clean as I can. And I'm not competing against other, newer authors,
Right, right.
just indie authors. I'm competing against the big guys, the big publishers. This
Mhm.
book has to stand up next to, a professional publisher book of a New York Times bestseller, because I'm buying to get the reader to read mine instead of that one, or in
Exactly.
addition. So I keep that in mind. It has to be clean. It has to look professional. So just keeping all that in the whole idea of going forth. Um, we put out the best product we can so that we get the good reviews and people can enjoy the story. And that's what's important.
And I think that you've been doing such an amazing job, as you've been, USA Today's bestseller. You have raving reviews across all of your books. I haven't seen anything negative said about the books that you put out there. So you're doing a fantastic job. Your team is doing a fantastic job catching everything. Thank you so much for being here. But I do want to ask one little itty bitty tiny question, and that's, if you could go back in time, this what if scenario of when you first got rejected from that publisher, they gave you the no, but you got that. But potentially, if you could just go back in time and have a 5-minute conversation with your younger self, what is what could that conversation be like, that you only have 5 minutes in order to give your younger self a better chance at reaching success maybe sooner or in a bigger scale than you could never have imagined at that time?
I probably would say keep learning the craft, keep learning about marketing, but stop trying to please the publishers and just write the books. Because the first several books I wrote was trying to meet, here's the guidelines for what we want for this book, or for our authors. And I kept trying to do that. And instead of focusing on craft and how I was going to learn how to run my own business and all that stuff, I was so busy trying to please them and get them to say yes to a proposal or a synopsis. And instead just start writing, start building this thing and practice and get better, because you're not going to need them to go forth. You're going to need to be strong in your writing. That's not to say I didn't get help from a professional editor at a publishing house for that first Nearly Departed. He was amazing. He really wanted to buy the book, but the marketing department said no. But he was all for it. And without him, he gave me a lot of confidence to go forth on my own. But still, just write the good stories. Stop trying to write just mystery or just romance. Just mix it all up, write the story, start building this world, because there's a lot of work to do ahead of you.
Well, thank you so much for that. And where can somebody who is so interested in getting more books from you, where can they go to find out more about you?
So my website, of course, is the easiest place, anncharles.com. And there's no E in that. It's just anncharles.com. I'm also on Facebook. I dabble in Instagram, Twitter, TikTok. I'm trying to get myself motivated to get into TikTok, but man, that's a lot of energy.
That's tough. I understand.
So you can, and you can email me. I have contact links. But again, mostly you start at the website, where you can find all the links to everything and the books and read about them and go from there.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us today, promoting your latest book that came out, Twisty Tortoise Tussles. Again, check her out on her website, anncharles.com. No EANNCHARLES.com. Other than that, thank you so much for giving some time out of your hectic and busy schedule and giving us a lot of pointers, a lot of hidden gems. If you guys heard everything she said, just be consistent. Don't give up. Build the team around you. Again, be consistent, because she has been doing this for so many years and she's been so consistent. And have ultimate belief in yourself, because the more you keep doing that, the more you will have an opportunity. And make sure you take those opportunities, because they are so limited, and it's worked amazingly for Anne. Other than that, take care. I wish you the best of luck on your upcoming books, and have a great rest of your night then.
Thanks.